Teresa Ewers with New Mexico Entertainment Magazine, and we are excited to be here today with Mr. Gabe Sachs.
Hello. I'm excited to be here too.
Well,
Welcome to our OR.
Yes,
Right.
Very cool to be shooting in here today. It's been very exciting to have the show filming here in New Mexico.
We love it.
Okay.
We love it here.
So I just have to ask, as we are walking into the building
Right.
and we're seeing San Antonio, what was the? I have to say.
I know where you're going.
Yeah.
I look. Here's what happened. So we were writing this, and we were sort of looking for that, that ER that was responsible for a lot of counties, like a trauma one that could handle a lot of counties. And we were looking and researching and on, and San Antonio was one that was responsible for a lot of counties, so they would always be busy. And that's really the story. I mean, that's really how it came out. And then I'd been to San Antonio, and then we looked in San Antonio, and we thought that was great, and, we just sort of liked the look of it, and that's where it all came out.
Okay, so you have nothing against New Mexico, obviously.
I love New Mexico. Nothing. I go antiquing every weekend. I can really tell you a million things, but everything's great. The hiking, the scenery, the people. Everyone's sort of been really great to us, and we've been able to shoot the show we wanted to shoot, which is the most important thing for us.
Well, I want to go a little bit back on some of the other projects that you did before we dive into Night Shift, and one of them is Freaks and Geeks, and love that bell. And
we're actually shooting.
And I got to take part with Albuquerque Comic Con. You came out for the Wounded Warrior project, and you got to talk a little bit about that. And I found it. I mean, first of all, from critics who talked about it, the show was great, but it didn't have the viewers, and it only got to get one season.
We did 18 episodes, and it was the kind of thing that they kept moving us around. Like we weren't sure, we'd be on a few episodes, and then they take us off, then they put us on another night, and it sort of got to the point that a couple people at the network were not crazy about it, and they felt it was too real, and it was all this stuff, but the crazy thing now is it's more popular than it ever was then. I mean, it has gone through, a crazy, incarnation. It's been amazing.
Yes, it's interesting to me that everything that's on TV now, you started it before. It was like you were before your time.
Well, it was weird because, Seth and they didn't want him on, or Jason Segel, they didn't want him on Undeclared, and there are all these crazy things where these guys are so talented. And I think it was the goal to, how do we, figure out how to, break them. And I remember Judd saying to me that, how do we break Seth, and he did it. I mean, Judd knows those guys so well and put him in a movie and let him sort of, do his thing, and it's been great.
So are you one that just enjoys the behind the scenes, the writing? That's just your wheelhouse.
Love it. I mean, I love it. I think we're really lucky, and when Judd and Paul asked us to be on Freaks and Geeks, it sort of changed our lives. It single-handedly, that show really changed our lives, and we were able to, do a lot of interesting projects after that.
Diary of a Wimpy Kid. How did you come onto that project?
The real story or the?
I want the real story.
The real story is we did 90210. We created the new 90210, and although we loved the actors, it was sort of a miserable experience. And we loved the actors. It was a great team. And we loved our crew, but it just sort of, they wanted a soap, and we were the wrong guys to sort of write a soap. And we thought it would be interesting to have that great background and put our characters in it. They did not agree. They wanted it to be a soap. So what happened is we said, we're not doing television. That's it. That's the end. And we went in and we got called about Diary of a Wimpy Kid, of which we knew nothing about. But we knew a lot of kids knew a lot about it. And so we went in, we had a bunch of meetings with Nina Jacobson and Brad Simpson, and loved them, and eventually got hired to write it. There was a script in existence, we rewrote it, and then the second one we wrote on our own.
So it's interesting that you said we're done with television.
Yeah.
And now we are here on the set of the Night Shift.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, we were done.
Yeah.
We were done. And so it was almost as if, what would be the craziest thing we would want to do? And that would be a medical show, because no one's buying a medical show from us. It wasn't like, Gabe Sachs and Jeff Judah are going to do a medical show. No one was jumping up and down for that. And so Sony called and said, look, we have not been in business with the guys, and would they at least come do TV? We'll do a blind script and see what happens. And so that means where you can really do what you want, and they'll pay you for it, which is great, and then hopefully you go sell it. And it's such a long process. So we go in there, we sell the show. Sony wants to do it, so we go to. No one wanted to see us, not one network.
Wow.
And which is unusual because we've done a lot of stuff, except NBC. Went to NBC, they bought it, and we were in shock and very happy. And they got it. You guys doing MASH, sort of in a hospital, and it was that was it. We sold it and decided, okay, we're gonna go do this thing. So we wrote the pilot, and let's say hundreds and hundreds of pitches they hear, and they'll buy about 70 to 100 scripts. Out of those scripts, and these numbers change all the time, but out of those scripts, they'll shoot maybe anywhere from 10 to 20.
Out of 70 to 100 scripts.
And then out of those 10 or 15 or whatever they shoot, they can only pick up maybe 5, sometimes less, depending on what their needs are, maybe 7, maybe put some mid-season. So the odds of getting a show on the air are impossible. So they bought the script, and they wouldn't let the script go. NBC goes, we love the script, because they had ordered another show called County, and that was with Jason Ritter. And so we sort of waited, and that didn't go forward. And then we're just waiting and waiting. And I get a call from Sony that says, could you possibly shoot this in 6 weeks? It's like, what?
6 weeks?
Yeah, it was that. And I go, yeah. And of course, lying through my teeth, I said, of course. I didn't care what it was. If they said you have to shoot this tomorrow, I would have said yes. And so I called Jeff, and of course this always happens for the last, 18 years we've been partners. I said, I can't get a hold of him. I can never get a hold of him when I need to get a hold of him. It's some crazy huge thing. So he doesn't have his phone or something, or he's at the gym, or anyway. Finally got a hold of him. I said, they may do this. And they said, it's not sure. And then they pulled the trigger, and I flew out to New Mexico to scout and to check it out. And then we went to San Antonio as well, and checked that out. And then that was it. We were shooting. So what we did is we didn't build this huge set. As you've seen, we shot at Loveless, and they had an ER there a while ago, I guess 6 or 7 years ago, and then we just shot the whole thing there, and then on location. So that's how it sort of came out, and then shot the pilot, and Pierre Morel directed it, and we had this great, and then another year goes by, and we still don't know if it's picked up. And then we are at this restaurant in LA where we're interviewing writers, because even if it's, you have to be ready. So you have to interview writers, and in case the show does get picked up. So we're there, and I get a call, and they say the show's dead. So I look at Jeff, and Jeff's interviewing a writer, and I said, show's dead. And so he goes, thank you very much, the writer, and that's it. And we start writing a thank you letter to Sony for letting us do the show we wanted to do, and it was so great. And they're like, what are you guys doing? We go, we just got a call that we weren't picked up. It's in Deadline. And it was in all the papers. It was in Variety, and it was...
Oh my gosh.
I go, we haven't even talked to NBC yet. We know what we're talking about. I'm going, you're kidding. And the headlines were, the night shift dead on arrival. The night shift has no life.
Wow.
No one's breathing at the night shift. It goes on and on and on and on. And then finally, so Sony called this one writer and said, this isn't true, and on and on. So the retraction was, there's a little life in the night shift, but not for long.
Oh my god.
So that was the retraction. And then 2 hours later, the show got picked up, and we were in shock. And then we got picked up for 8 episodes, and that was it. We came to New Mexico and shot.
So, in your second season showing now?
Yeah, it's been really great, and we have a real core audience that's watching our show, which is nice.
So what is it about the show that you feel drives this audience? What do you think it is that other shows don't have?
I think we just sort of, the way Jeff and I sort of create stuff, and it's got to have humor, and we love action, so we wanted both, the funny and the action, and sort of mix all that stuff together, which sort of makes it a little different from, obviously, Grey's Anatomy or ER and any of those things, and we were huge ER fans, so we wanted to figure out how we can incorporate military into it and sort of go from there, and it all sort of came together.
What is your importance with the theme of military with the show?
Because I think that we wanted a character who was very flawed, and we wanted a guy who was in the military and the best doctor, but he just wasn't good at listening to orders or, just following the rules. So a lot of time in the military, medics have to do things that are crazy and great because they're using medicine we can't use here, and they're trying different things. And so I think it was important to see what happens when a doctor comes back from Afghanistan or fighting in the war, or a medic and dealt with all that, and comes back into sort of this hospital, and how that adjustment is. And it was very important to us to sort of represent those guys and what's happening with them coming into, this environment.
Well, I mean, it was something for you to bring into the storyline that the main character has PTSD,
Yep.
which is something that a lot of people still,
Yep.
as long as the wars went on, haven't talked about to this day.
Yeah, we also have friends that were in the military, and there's a friend of mine, Matthew Gonzalez, who, you talk to them, and it's one thing to read everything about it, and you read about PTSD, and because there's so many different kinds, but you're reading about people who served over there, and until you really talk to someone who's been there, you can't believe it. I mean, it's just what you're dealing with is a lot, and it's sort of, everyone sort of deals with it in their own way, and we sort of wanted to show that, and sort of show, a guy like TC who's really strong and smart and, keeps up this front. What happens when you sort of face that and you break down?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, there are a lot of characters on the show that anybody can relate to. I love that you have a gay character on the show, and these love triangles that you have all in the show. I mean, it's a very interesting script.
Oh, good, thank you.
Yeah, but I'm really enjoying it. So, you thinking season 3?
We'd love a season 3. I mean, we've been very happy with this, and we still have more stories to tell. And that's all, up to the network. I mean, look, our dream, it would be so great if we were in summer every year, because we just love that layout of this many episodes, and every year you come back to sort of see that. And but we'll see. I mean, they've been great so far, so we'll see what happens.
So, with those who may not have seen the show yet,
Mm-hmm.
what do you want them to pull away from it when they watch each episode?
Well, I think it's sort of like focusing on these great doctors in crazy situations. And I think the real TC, who was not in the military, but he would tell, Jeff that, one minute you're, pulling an iPhone out of someone's butt, and you want to laugh about it, and the next minute you're saving a 5-year-old. So it's sort of that sort of crazy emotions that happen. And we want to show what those guys, how those guys react on a daily basis.
When it comes to the storylines that you're coming up with, is it, I know Law and Order's pulled from the headlines, is there a lot of stories?
Yeah, there's a lot of stories that, there's been stories that have happened. Jeff and I have never lived that more than, I think, a mile away from each other. And there's stuff that's happened around where we live, and we sort of grab cases from stuff we know, and then people are always turning us on to cases that we read about, and we have a great team of writers that are working really hard, and they're all coming up with stuff. So it's sort of, once the show's rolling, Jeff is really in charge of the writing, and sort of we will bounce stuff after work or before work, but he's really got to keep that in order, and I'm mostly on the production.
So with the cast, how's the camaraderie?
They're horrible. They're awful. They the cast is amazing. We're very lucky. We have just, even our guest cast, everyone's been really, really strong. Camaraderie's great. They hang out. they go out to dinner, or they, you know, it's just one of those things that you're very lucky. There's always one or two you can't stand, and we don't have that. Like, I mean, we're really lucky. I mean, they're really good people, so we try to do that in casting, but there's no guarantee.
So when it comes to the characters that are on the show, you know, we were honored to speak with Catherine just a little bit.
Yeah.
And she mentioned that her character, Heather, was based off a real nurse.
Oh, yeah. No, but yes. No, so a lot of the names of our characters are friends of ours. If you know. Catherine plays a character named Heather Bardos. And Heather is like, you know, deals with VIP relations and marketing at the LA Kings.
Okay.
And she's a dear, dear friend of ours. So we wanted to name a character after her.
Okay, so that's how it goes. You get in with you guys.
Yeah, and then you get a character name.
Oh shoot!
But it's not always good.
You.
It's not always good. Sometimes there's a character, like there's someone we hate, and we will name a horrible character after them. So I'm just saying sometimes. Yeah.
Who would that be?
Very funny.
Well, I like to end our interviews with this question, being that you've been doing this for a while, you love your job. Yeah. When it comes to when it's all over, what would you like your legacy to be?
Just doing good work. I gotta tell you, like Jeff and I just want to tell really good stories, and you know, we love this kind of show. We want to have shows and movies that really say something and sort of people can enjoy. And you know, of course, we want to do the crazy comedy because all those guys are doing so well. But we really want to do great stuff that we're happy with, and I think that's what we'll continue to do, hopefully.
And I hope you do.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
This is Teresa Ewers with New Mexico Entertainment. See ya.